Welcome to SciSpectrum Lab Essentials, your source for equipment, instruments, and consumables.
You know, some of the most important properties in science are completely invisible. You can't see them, but you can definitely feel them. Just think about the difference between pouring a glass of water and pouring honey from a jar. That resistance, right? That thickness, that's exactly what we're talking about today. And we're going to dive deep into a high-precision instrument that's built to measure it, the SKY-V200 Digital Viscometer.
So, what's the game plan? Well, first, we're going to get a solid handle on the science of viscosity itself. Then, we'll meet the SKY-V200 and check out its core specs. After that, we'll see where it's actually used in the real world, everywhere from your kitchen to a factory floor. And finally, we'll see how it stacks up against other options out there.
All right, first things first. Before we can really appreciate this tool, we've got to understand the job it's designed to do. We're starting with the concept it measures, viscosity. It's really just the scientific word for thickness, and trust me, it's way more important than you might think.
So, what is viscosity exactly? Well, to put it simply, it's just a fluid's resistance to flowing. It's all about the internal friction happening between a liquid's molecules. The more friction there is, the slower it moves, and the higher its viscosity. This one single property, it determines everything from how a drink pours out of a bottle to how well paint is going to stick to a wall.
The classic example is always water versus honey. Water flows super easily. That's low viscosity. Honey, on the other hand, really resists flowing. That's high viscosity. And this exact same principle applies across tons of industries. For a product like juice, you want it to pour freely. But for something like paint or glue, you absolutely need that thickness, that resistance, for it to do its job right.
And this brings us to a really crucial question. I mean, you can tell honey is thicker than water just by looking at it, right? But in a lab or a factory, you need an exact number. If you're making pharmaceuticals or paint, kinda thick just doesn't cut it. So how on earth do you measure this property with real scientific precision?
Well, the answer is, you need a specialized tool. And that brings us right to the star of our show today, the SKY-V200. It's an instrument designed specifically to solve this exact measurement challenge. So, the SKY-V200 is a high-precision digital viscometer. Its one and only job is to deliver accurate, reliable viscosity measurements time and time again. In a lab where you're developing a new medicine, or in a factory where every single batch of paint needs to be identical, that kind of consistency isn't just a nice-to-have, it's absolutely essential.
Let's take a quick look at its key features, because they're all designed for practical, real-world use. You've got the LCD display, which gives you clear readings at a glance. It comes with 4 different spindles, so you can just swap them out depending on the fluid you're testing. The temperature sensor, that's critical, because even a tiny change in temperature can totally change a liquid's viscosity. And the RS-232 interface just means you can instantly zap your data over to a computer for analysis, which, let me tell you, saves a ton of time.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to take a quick peek under the hood at the core technical specs. These are the numbers that really define what this instrument can do and, maybe more importantly, how well it does it. Let's break these numbers down, shall we? First, you've got 4 different RPM speeds. Now this is key, because a lot of fluids, think ketchup or paint, actually change their viscosity depending on how fast they're being stirred or spread. Having different speeds lets you capture that complex behavior. Then you've got the precision. An accuracy of plus or minus 1% means your measurement is going to be extremely close to the true value. And repeatability of 0.5% means you'll get that same result over and over again, so it's both accurate and consistent.
And here is the headline number, a maximum range of 1 million millipascal seconds. Now, millipascal second is just the standard scientific unit for viscosity. To give you some context, water is about 1, while something like honey is in the thousands. So a range that goes all the way up to 1 million, that means this device is incredibly versatile. It can handle fluids just a little bit thicker than water, all the way up to extremely thick pastes. So now that we know what it is and what it can do, let's connect it back to the real world. Where would you actually find an instrument like the SKY-V200 being used? Well, the applications are incredibly diverse. Seriously, the applications are everywhere. In the food industry, viscosity makes sure your yogurt has that same creamy texture in every single cup. In pharma, it's critical for making sure liquid medicines pour correctly and have the right dosage. And for things like paints and glues, it's a constant balancing act. The viscosity has to be high enough to stick, but low enough to spread evenly.
Of course, no product exists in a vacuum, right? So to really understand the SKY-V200, let's put it into context and see how it compares to other models. This is super helpful if you're trying to figure out which viscometer is the right fit for your particular needs.
So here we can see the SKY-V200 compared to the next model up, the V201. Now, the V201 doubles the viscosity range and the number of speed modes, and it adds a fancy touchscreen. But that upgrade comes at more than double the price. And this is what really defines the SKY-V201's value. It's a powerful and precise instrument for labs that need professional-grade results, but don't necessarily need every single top-of-the-line feature.